Kenny Hayes, professional basketball player, known for his scoring ability, has played across multiple international leagues.
You have to continue to work and work and work. You can't just get satisfied or stagnant, like, oh yeah, I'm the top, no, because there's someone that's like me coming after your spot.
If you had a magic wand and you can design what club basketball looks like today, list out 5 things it would not have.
You can be the #1 ranked player in the country, you still got to keep a chip on your shoulder, because everybody wants what you have.
Welcome to another episode of Pulse Check, where we try to talk with folks that are in youth sports. This journey has brought us full circle where we want to talk about the hard topics, the gremlins, as I said before, and just some of the blemishes behind the spotlight, the cameras. And we really want to talk to folks that have experience with playing a multi-sporting experience, so like multiple sports. But today, to my right, I have a personal friend, consummate professional, and a person that I want to just give a little short bio about, Kenny Hayes. Kenny, thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And, just some background on Kenny here. So Kenny Hayes, he's a American basketball player, professional basketball player, known for his scoring ability, his leadership. He's played across multiple international leagues. He was born April 16th, 1987 from Dayton, Ohio. He played college ball at Miami University of Ohio, where he was named preseason player of the year. And his story is amazing. And I'm going to let him pick that up from there, because I feel like from playing internationally, from being undrafted to going through rigmarole of life, please share a little bit more about your background, Kenny. And really, we want to dive right into, how today youth sports in your specific area of expertise change things. But give us a little bit about your background.
Well, like you said, I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and I love where I'm from because it made me who I am today. Man, I grew up, I always loved basketball. And all my friends in the neighborhood, we always played basketball. And that's really where I fell in love with it. And I think that, it became natural for me. And nowadays, it doesn't seem like, for a lot of kids, it's not really natural. It just seems like maybe they might be in it for like the stuff that comes with it. I never was in it for that. I was in it because I truly, if anyone who knows me, family members, friends that get to know me, they know, like, man, he's a weirdo because he loves basketball so much. And for me, at a young age, it wasn't always easy for me. My dad was my AAU coach. And I got cut in middle school. I didn't make the basketball team. And I remember walking into the next day in school, and at that time they used to put the list on the wall. And I remember walking in there and I didn't see my name. I didn't make it to the next round. And all my friends made it. And that crushed my heart. I think my stepdad had to come pick me up because I was just hysterically crying. I think I cried for 3 days straight. And then I was blessed and fortunate. I had 2 fathers. My stepfather, who ended up passing away, rest in peace, but was such an amazing, person that was in my life. And my real father, who's one of my best friends today. It just said, like, you either going to, let it out, cry, but what are we going to do about it? Are we going to keep working, or do you want to try something new? And they knew the answer. I wasn't going to try anything. No, it was basketball.
It was basketball. So what grade were you when you got cut?
I was in 8th grade.
8th grade.
8th grade.
So that feeling of being rejected and going up to that wall, and you had all your homies around you, all your friends. If you had this, to describe that in one word. One word,
I would say devastated.
Devastated.
Yeah.
Okay. When in your professional, semi-professional basketball career have you felt that? Or have you felt it?
I don't think so after that, I realized I had to work hard.
Okay.
I had to put in more work. I told myself this will never happen again. So when that happened, me and my dad, we were in the gym every single day. And even when I wasn't in the gym with him, I was across the street at my neighbors. I didn't have a basketball goal. But they had a basketball goal that their kids didn't use. And they said, anytime you can use it, I'm over there every single day. I didn't have a left hand. So I'm over there working on my left hand every day, every day, every day. And it would be to the point where, my neighbor would call my mom and say, hey, it's snowing outside. And he's in the backyard, playing basketball. We're just worried. We don't want him to get his hands frostbites or anything like that. And I can hear my mom yelling my name. My middle name is Sherrod. So I can hear Sherrod. And for me, it was just like, I just loved it. I wanted to get better. I loved Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was like, I used to sit at home and just watch his, I forget what some airness. I can't remember the VHS that I had, but I watched this probably almost every day. And, for me, it was one of those things where they'd say, oh, Michael Jordan got cut, which, he got cut from the JV team or the varsity team, but he's still on the JV team. But it was still like motivation for me because I'm like, this dude is the greatest basketball player, to play. So fast forward to answer your question, I never felt that as a semi-pro or college because when I got to that point, I had put in a lot of work and I trusted myself. I understood I was going to have bad games and things weren't going to always go my way. But I never felt that pain that I felt from being cut. And I told myself I'll never, ever get cut again. And from that day forward was just like everything was up. Next year, I actually transferred schools. My stepfather passed away and we just needed new scenery. I went to a school called Northmont. I was at a school named Trotwood who cut me. We're in the same conference. So fast forward, they put me on the freshman team. I felt like I should have been on the JV team at Northmont, but I didn't care. I just was so excited to be on the team and get to play for since I didn't the year before. And I think 6-7 games in, it got so easy for me to where I think the varsity coach came to a game. He was playing this team called Pickle. I think I ended the game with 38 as a freshman. And I love being on the freshman team. All my friends was on the team. My mom and dad get a phone call later that night and said, hey, we're going to bring him up to varsity. And at the time when they told me, I was like, wait, what? I didn't want to do it. I don't want to go to varsity. I want to play with my friends. And my dad was like, this is what you worked for. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to play with my friends, like I don't want to go to varsity. They're all older than me. I don't have any friends. It's going to be weird. But they embraced me. A lot of guys on the JV team weren't too happy about it. Here's this little scrawny freshman. You pull him over me. But I was blessed because my varsity coach was a former Division I head coach. So he saw something in me that I didn't even know that I saw had for myself. And when we have these conversations, when I talk to him, I haven't talked to him in a while, but when we would talk, he's like, I saw it from day one. You might not saw it, but I saw the potential. I saw how much you love basketball, and I knew, at some point this kid could be special. And that's really where everything just kicked in, because I'm like, man, I got cut last year. I'm on varsity. I'm a freshman now. I'm on varsity this year. I'm like, if I continue to work harder and harder, there's no telling where I can go with this. And fast forward to now, it's just, I sit back and I think, and it gives me chills. I'm getting chills now thinking about it because I just remember that feeling of being cut. And I left out the part, I was the manager of that team, the 8th grade team. I was the guy recording the games out. And I did that. It was embarrassing, but I only did it so I could be around the team. And sometimes I got to practice with them. And that was something but then I also played in the church league. So I got to practice with them, but also I was playing in this church league to just build my confidence. And I knew I was good enough. It was just all about, me believing that. And
so let's stop right there for a second.
Yeah.
You're devastated. You get cut from the 8th grade team. What what around you, maybe it was your moral fiber that said, hey, I want to be on the team. If I need to be manager and take pictures, I'll do that. I need to keep my confidence going. I need to join the church league. Like that discipline, flush of humility, like how was that instilled in you, or was it instilled in you? And if so, by who? Like, I'm trying to understand that, because you said it, I was embarrassed. It was embarrassing, but you looked past that as a long-term gain. So how did that happen?
The people that I had around me,
The people that you had around.
that sometimes you got to swallow your pride, and those things you don't want to have to do.
Right.
But if you swallow your pride, take your emotions out of it, you'll get it later.
There's a saying, Kenny, and I'm gonna probably butcher it right now.
Yeah.
I always butcher things like jokes and different things like that, but horrible at it. In order for you to do what you want to do, you need to be willing to do the things you don't want to do.
Exactly. That's true.
As you were describing what you were describing about being the ops manager, or you're doing what you don't want to do in order to do what you want to do. Go ahead.
No, that's 100% true. I looked at it as, I wouldn't say scouting. It was more like I had to swallow my pride. I was around basketball, and I also got to, I was also, in my head, I was trying to figure out how these guys made the team over me. And I remember going home, I put everybody's name on a list on my wall, and it was motivation every day. So when I transferred, I had all these guys' names on the list, and I had to go against these guys. They were in the same conference. And I remember the first time we played Trotwood, and everybody was, he's going Northmont. I set the tone right away. I think I ended, my dad could probably give you the numbers. He knows all this stuff. I forget, but I know I had 30 plus. And it was one of those things where everybody's like, like he's like, he's locked in. And every year when we played them, I always put on a show against them. It was always like extra motivation. I remember the guy who was, I'm not gonna say his name, but he was considered like, the top dog, and everybody used to love him. He was a very good player at a young age, but I had surpassed him, and he knew it. And it was one of those things, I can feel it. When we would play against him, he would never want to guard me. I guard him. And that's when I knew I had arrived. And fast forward, I ended up getting player of the year my senior year over all those guys. And that is what, is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want people to know. People get kind of caught up in like rankings and being good in 7th, 8th grade. And it's like, dude, trust me, it matters, but it doesn't matter. You have to continue to work and work and work. You can't just get satisfied or stagnant, like, oh yeah, I'm the top. No, because someone's hungry like me. I was hungry. There's someone that's like me coming after your spot. And you have to always have that chip on your shoulder. You can be the #1 ranked player in the country. You still got to keep a chip on your shoulder, because everybody wants what you have. And I know that's how it was. If I knew this guy was, one of the best, everyone says he's the best, I wanted a piece of it. I wanted to test my game up against his. And if he was better than me, cool. That just meant I have to keep working harder. You just have to be willing to accept what is thrown at you and not get down. You just got to keep your head up and keep working.
What's the association to turtle?
So, the rabbit in the race, he was faster. Of course, the turtle was slower, but the turtle took his time, and I think the rabbit started out fast, but then he took a nap. He got, kind of got ahead of himself, and that's part of what we talk about, the rankings and all that. But the turtle just slow grind, just kept working. And then eventually he passed the rabbit, and he was the one that came out on top. And that's really, my way of thinking, my way of doing things. It's like people want quick success, and it just doesn't work that way. You know, if you really truly want to be successful or something, you're gonna go through the ups and downs. It's gonna make you feel at times like you want to quit. But if you truly love it, quitting is not an option. You know, you've come this far. Why would you just shut it down? You know, and you know, with the turtle, it was one of those things, you know, the turtle probably wanted to stop, get a drink of water, take a nap, but he didn't. He just kept moving, kept going, kept going, kept going. And then, you know, he won the race. And that's my approach with everything. And that's really like my approach right now, getting into like, you know, the AAU club scene. Is like, you know, I want to take my time and make sure I do it the right way and the turtle route.
So let's talk about the AAU club scene.
Yeah.
You have the background, and you played at the highest level. And having said that, what made you transfer and get into this AAU club scene? Like, what was the point in your life where there was like this decision making to say, you know what, I'm going to start my own scene?
To be honest, for years, a lot of my clients, parents were asking me, right? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think that's something I would like to do. I really enjoy developing, you know, that's, you know, so for me, it's just like something that I love, you know, and, I got a taste of the clubs. I think I went to a few games, and it was things that I saw. I was really shocked.
What did you see?
A lot of things not organized, a lot of no structure. I kind of felt like they were not in it for not in it for the kids, but in it more for themselves and their business. Which, listen, you know, if you're trying to grow your business, of course, you know, you have to make money and stuff like that. But my whole thing with that is like, you know, if someone's going to pay you money for your product, at least give it your all. Give them what they deserve. You know, don't just take the money and then do a halfway job, you know. And if you don't know how to do the job, hire somebody who does, or you know, or learn, instead of, you know, manipulating parents and kids who don't truly understand. And it's because it's so easy to fall into that, because you see it with the, you know, the circuits. They say, oh, I want to play in this circuit or that circuit, which is great exposure. But most important thing to me is just really development. So when I see a lot of these styles, the way these clubs will play, it really, really bothered me. It boiled my skin, because I'm like, you're doing harm to these kids, and they have no clue. And the parents have no clue, but they think they're doing a good deed, because it's like, oh, this team has a big name, or they are going to play in this circuit or that circuit. And it's like, you can play in all the circuits that you want, but are you developing? You know, are you getting better? And that's what, you know, really, really got me to say, you know what, I'm gonna enter this space, and I'm gonna do it my way. And I know I'm gonna, you know, not make, a lot of people aren't going to be happy, but that I can't worry about, you know, what people think. I can just focus on, you know, what I believe in and my passion, and that is really to develop and help teach these kids what I know. Doesn't make it right, but just from based off my experiences is what, you know, I use for my teaching.
As a coach myself, I can feel I can relate 100% to that parent having this mindset, more dollars, better results. I feel like there's not a clear answer to that, because to your point, you're wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You know, you're obviously trying to grow your team. So what is the right time to have that level set conversation? Is there a right time to have that level set conversation with that husband and wife, or single parent, or parent or guardian, whoever has a checkbook, to say, hey, how do you even start that conversation when you recognize that they want instant result, and you sense it, you feel the pressure, and you haven't even committed to that child?
Yeah.
But like, how do you have that conversation?
The one thing with me, and I think a lot of people who know me, you know, they'll say the same thing that I'm about to say about myself. I'm an honest person. And, you know, sometimes when you're honest, it can, I would say people could take it the wrong way. But I think that if you're, you know, I can't really focus on people's feelings. Certain people can't take constructive criticism, they take it the wrong way. So I've learned to make sure my delivery isn't too aggressive or too where they feel like I'm belittling them, or they feel like I disrespected them, because that's not what I'm doing. But I'm honest with people, you know, and I will say, hey, you know what, you know, little Timmy, you know, I think, you know, he needs more development right now. I think maybe club basketball might not be a good thing right now. I think you should focus probably on like just developing, like start with the basics and then work your way up and then jump back into the club scene. Because a lot of parents, I don't want to take people's money who don't really truly understand what I'm trying to do. And it's strictly, you know, I'm trying to develop the right way. It's not about wins or losses. Like, I don't remember a game that I won when I was in 7th grade or 8th. I really don't. Like, I don't know. I know I won championships. They're at my mom's house. I got the trophies, but I just don't remember it. And I think that, you know, some of these parents get caught up in the wins, or some of them try to live through their kids instead of letting their kids figure it out on their own. And as a parent, you're supposed to be there to help them when they are struggling. Hey, keep going. You know, you just got to keep working. Eventually, you'll get over it. Because I think adversity is very important at a young age, and I think it's very important for parents to hold themselves accountable and their child accountable, instead of always blaming the club or blaming the coach. Because yes, that club is supposed to help develop that kid, but also outside of being with that club, that kid, and as a parent, you're supposed to also help develop them as well. It's a two-way street.
What are your pet peeves, Kenny? Like, if you had to list five pet peeves that parents do or not do, that just, you know, just irritate you and like get on your last nerve. Like, if you had to list five.
Is tough. I would say number is living through your kid. That is
Okay, so living vicariously through their kid.
Yeah, living through your kid. Never taking accountability.
Okay.
Blaming referees.
Okay. The refs, yeah. That's three.
That's three. Let's say, that's tough. I know some. I'm just trying to pet peeve.
Just look at your phone, right? Just look at the text messages.
It's really, let me. I said the living through the kid, not holding themselves accountable.
Accountability, refs.
Let's see. I know too.
What about communication?
That is huge. Do you hit it on That is, no, you're honestly like that.
Silence. Crickets.
That is huge.
And and expect you to be a mind reader.
Yeah, I can't. If you don't, man, that's with everything. And I have these conversations even with, you know, I have a teenage daughter, and you know, she's a teenager, so she goes through like, you know, mood swings sometimes. But I've learned to understand it and deal with it. And there's things that sometimes something's bothering her, and she knows me. I'm not, if I don't know, I'm not going to say anything. You didn't tell me, so you know, how am I supposed to fix the issue? So when she'll tell me, I'm say, how are you mad at me? You didn't tell me. So of course I didn't know. And that's the same, you know, the communication sometimes is off really bad. And I've had a few kids so far where, like, practice is very important to me. You can't really build team chemistry.
Can we just say the fifth one is punctuality and attendance? Then?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Punctuality and attendance.
attendance, because some of these, let me,
But prior to that, we're talking about communication.
team hopping.
Team hopping. Okay, so we got 6, y'all.
That,
Team hopping. Free agents.
yeah, that is, I just think that here's what I would do. And my way is not saying my way is right at all. Like, I could be wrong. With my kids, if I do put them on a club team, or it's going to be
Well,
somewhere.
let's talk about your daughter.
So she played for a pretty good team last year in Ohio.
Okay. Club team.
Club team.
Okay.
And she knows I'm very skeptical about, like, who trains her, who works with her.
Right.
And her coach, Coach Dunson, we had a great conversation. After the conversation, I knew exactly I wanted her with him.
Okay.
Because we saw eye to eye on so many things.
Okay.
And he understood where I.
Did you lean into Coach Dunson, like, meaning, hey, you attempted to connect with him, or were you waiting for him to do that?
Well, what happened was her high school coach knew him, and he had invited her to an open gym.
Got you.
He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, coach, whenever you get a chance, I'd love to, get on the phone with you." And we got on the phone, man, and I knew right away that's who I would want her to play for, because a few other teams have reached out to me before that.
Got you.
And it was just the same sales pitch.
What is it? Tell our audience.
It was
what sales pitch?
Was telling me, "Oh man, we're going, playing in I think it was Under Armour. One of them was Under Armour, and the other one was."
So they lead with the shiny object.
Yeah, and then that's like, I don't think they understand who they're talking to. For me, I don't fall for that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm all about developing. She needs to get better. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
To help her get better? I hear what you're saying about she's going to play in the Under Armour circuit and all that, but what's the point of playing in the Under Armour circuit if she's not developed and ready for that? And it's. I think that they thought I would be sold on it, and no disrespect to her mom, because her mom didn't really understand the whole how it all worked, and she was sold on it. Oh, she's going to play. It's like, yo, pump the brakes for a little bit, and let's take our time with this. Let's make sure we're making the right decision.
Yeah.
And we end up getting connected with Coach Dunson. And I mean, right away I knew that was the first thing he talked about was development. That when he said that, and then I just listened to him talk, I knew once I got out of the phone, she's going there. And she's not there anymore, but me and him still got a good relationship. And
he's in
Ohio.
Yeah,
he's in Dayton, and actually she's moved to Arizona with me.
Right.
But he's always checking how she doing. Like, I see the stuff that you post, and I'm so proud of her. And that's what he was a great mentor to her.
Sure.
And he taught her things that she's never had a coach teach her, and that's what I wanted from her. Because I tell my daughter, I said, right now, I'm not worried about right now. I'm worried about, in 2-3 years from now, where are you going to be as a player mentally and physically? And the most important is the mental part. And so when we made these decisions, it was based off of, like, what I kind of knew. And she was not happy with, teenagers like, "Dad, but this person wants me." So I pumped the brakes, and now she sits back and she's like, "Yeah, Dad, that was like, I'm happy we did that." Coach Dunson is like forever going to be like a mentor to me, and that's what I wanted. And a lot of these parents fall for the sales pitch, and I'm not saying don't play in these circuits, because of course, I would love for my clubs to be invited to play in the circuit, but when the time is right.
When the time is right.
Not, my main focus right now is just let's build this team chemistry brick by brick. We're not trying to skip steps.
So in order to build that development and brick by brick analogy, which I love, you got to have punctuality.
Yeah.
You got to have attendance.
Yeah.
Why did you say that was one of your pet peeves? Talk about it.
So I've gotten calls from parents. Hey, can my son join your team? And of course, I had a conversation with him, and we talk, and I just let him know like my standards, what we stand for. And I've had conversations with guys that are, they get all caught up in these rankings. And another thing, I don't know, they realize who they're talking to, the rankings. I was an underdog kid, so I know that ranking stuff does not matter. So actually,
But isn't it important, right? Like people want to get ranked, right?
I think it's important for it gives you, what can I say? It makes you feel good about yourself, but it can do harm.
Sure.
Because some kids let it go to their head and they're just like, oh, I'm ranked and I'm this. And to be ranked in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I mean, I think that's just ridiculous. That's just my opinion. And I've had the conversation with a very good close friend of mine. His name is John Stovall. He's the head youth guy for Nike. He's the guy that, if you get the EYBL invites and all that, he's the one, the NIL did all that, you go through him. We had a good conversation over the phone, and we were kind of laughing. He was laughing because he's like, man, when you really think about it, he's like, for somebody to rank a kid in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, you're telling me this guy went all around Arizona, and he saw every single 6th grade, every single 7th grade, every single 8th grade, and he's able to make an opinion on who is the number one, and I'm like, yeah, it's crazy to me when you think about it. Are there some really good players? 100%. Do they have potential to be good players in the future? 100%. But that's all about like your work ethic. That's all about like if you continue to slow grind, be the turtle.
Be that turtle.
But some of these kids, I've seen some stuff where they offer like middle school kids like shoes and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I've had a parent reach out, my kid is ranked this, and no disrespect, but he's either committed or he's not. And if he's not, that's fine. I wish him the best. I would. Anytime he wants to get some work in and work in this game, I'm there. But what I'm trying to do with this team, I'm trying to teach these guys what it's like to be on a structured basketball team, and because we get to high school, especially when we get to college, it's not going to be this way. I'm trying to teach these guys like, how to be together as a brotherhood and develop. It's bigger than basketball. You can hold these relationships forever, and not all these players on my team is going to go on to play college professional. It's hard. You're trying to make it to the 1%, and I'm trying to teach these guys like, you can go to this team or that team or whatever. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. But if you want to actually, be successful and make it, and I don't know, whatever goals they might have, you have to have some sort of structure. And hopping here and hopping there. I'm going to play here this week with this team, and next week I'm going to play with that. You're not developing no chemistry or anything. You're kind of doing more. You are doing more harm to yourself because you're not being held accountable. And later in life, it's all going to catch up with you, and then you're going to look back and blame everybody else but yourself. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to kind of just change that, if I can. I'm not going to be able to touch everybody, and not everybody's going to agree with what I'm saying. But the ones that do believe in me, I want them to know, like, yo, I'm going to do everything in my power to help see you become successful, whether that's on the basketball court or in life.
How long have you had your club team?
So my club team name is All AZ. At the 7th grade team, and we're about to have a 6th grade team as well. We've had it for about a month. I got into the club scene with my training name, Too Elite.
Too Elite.
I would say about November. About November 2025.
Okay.
And that was my way of like really just scooping the scene out, just seeing how to move about it. Like,
you did some market research.
Yeah, just basically because that's how you don't want to just jump into something and not really know what you're doing. So it was like one of those things where I was like, okay, let me sit back and just see how things are playing out. And that's where I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. I wouldn't do it that way. That's me. I see what they're doing. I like that, you know. So I take pieces from like what I would do and what I wouldn't do. And it was like, having coaches. I've had so many different type of coaches. I've had coaches where, I'm like, man, he's a really good coach. And I've had some coaches was like, man, if I ever were a coach, or I would never do anything like this, So you learn through your experiences. And I was able to like learn quick out here, especially out here, because I just didn't like what I saw. And like I said, I respect everybody. Hustle, they grind. It's just me personally. I didn't like what I saw. So I just told myself, okay, hey, just be you. Do what you feel like is that you think is right to help with whatever development that these kids need. And that's kind of like my approach with it.
So with Two Elite, that was kind of like you're going into the arena of youth sports, and that allowed you to really build that strategy, and you kind of picked the good, the bad, you ignored the ugly and the bad, and you kind of put all this together to form your your program, All AZ. And in the last 30 to 45 days of running All AZ club team, how many conversations, did you have that you didn't, to your point, you don't want to lie, you want to be direct with people, and how many rejection conversations did you have?
So I'm not going to say the player's name.
Sure.
But there was a player that I had on my first team. Good player. Really good player. But then, I had already formed my All AZ team, and I spoke with the parents. The parents, he wanted to play for me. And it was one of those things where with the core that I have at the time, it wouldn't be fair for me to take him, because he's a kid that deserves to play a lot of minutes and he deserves to start. And, I could be selfish and be like, oh yeah, give me him. I want all the talent. But like I said, I'm in it to develop, and I don't want to put a kid on the bench where I'm going to ruin his confidence. So I was honest. It wasn't an easy conversation.
Yeah.
But I was straightforward and honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, hey, you know what? I would love to have him. But with the core that I have right now, it wouldn't be fair for me to keep him, because he deserves to be somewhere where he's going to play a lot of minutes. Probably start. He should start. He's a starter in my eyes. And the parent didn't take it. I could tell it kind of took it a little personal. But then I suggested another club. And, it's they say that's kind of unheard of for somebody else to, especially a club that is competitive with ours. And it was one of those things where I was like, I want what's best for him. It's not about me. It's about them. And
so it was like a rejection, and the parents took it a little, sideways. And then they realized it was.
I think they took it sideways. I haven't really talked to him since. I've seen the kid or played against him. He's a great kid, good player. Parents are, great people. It was just one of those things where I knew I was going to be labeled as the bad guy at the time. But if he understood, my purpose behind it, he'd thank me later.
I'm going to get back to the flip side, to a commercial program that would keep that player because they saw that player as a dollar sign, but then build around. I'm going to go back to that in a second. But how many, so same question, but you had to reject the child based on the parent dynamic.
Yeah.
Meaning you've been around, you've observed, you've interacted with the parent, and you were like, man, that's going to be some fires to put out. So I'm going to stay away from that player. Has that ever happened?
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
Yeah. I've had, like I said, I'm not going to name any.
Sure. Yeah, we don't need to name names.
I've talked to people that, they're like, they get all caught up in these rankings.
Right.
It was one of those things like, well, we're used to this. And I'm like,
well, they're telling you what they're expecting.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. Well, listen, I think, no disrespect, I think this isn't the right place for him. But, I wish him the best of luck.
Sure.
He's a good player. But this red carpet that you guys want me to lay out for him is just not going to.
Right.
It's not going to happen over here. And it doesn't matter who you are, how good you are, because you're not teaching those kids the reality. It's maybe they're like, oh yeah, you can't make every practice, and for me it's like
the attendance and punctuation.
Yeah, and it's one of those things like, listen,
punctuality, excuse me.
I understand that, but what we're trying to do is like we're trying to develop, we're trying to get better over here, and the only way we can get better is like practice is one of the most important things, and it's teaching you, to hold yourself accountable. You're not going to be able to go to no high school team, for sure, no college team, and you go, oh, coach, I don't feel like practicing today. I'll see y'all at the game. Like that's not realistic. It doesn't work that way, especially in college. Because you got to understand, in college, it's these coaches' livelihoods. If they get fired, they can't feed their family. They got to move. And so they want players that are coachable. They want players that hold themselves accountable because their jobs are on the line, and they're not. If little Timmy has been given everything and not, having to go through adversity because everyone's told him he's the best, he's the best, he's the best. And then that first time ever in his life he hits adversity, he doesn't know how to react because everybody's told him he's the best. And when you get to college, they don't care. These coaches like, yo, we got to win games. And if I don't win games, they're going to fire me. So I don't care what you were ranked in middle school. I don't care what you were ranked in high school. What are you doing to win me basketball games so I can keep my job? And that's where, the attendance thing it matters, because what I'm trying to do, we're trying to build something real, and this is something that I want these guys to carry on past club ball and into life. It's just, you think you can work at let's work at Chipotle. You just, hey, boss, I don't feel like coming in today. I'll come in 2 days. It doesn't work that way. You're going to get fired. So it's bigger than basketball. It's also about teaching life skills, and that's really, why I got into this.
I'm gonna go back to the word devastation.
Yeah.
I like to tie this into my next question. So when you talk about, the feeling of being devastated, what do you think is the most devastating driver of the downfall of youth basketball? I'm gonna give you options here: NIL, name, image, likeness, zero accountability. An example would be, oh, I don't want to come to practice today. Just that mentality. Parents vicariously living through their kids.
Yeah.
And we'll just go with those three: parents vicariously living through their kids, zero accountability, or the NIL. And I guess when I say NIL, I mean the shoe deals, the team hopping. Which, in your opinion, is the most devastating driver of youth basketball?
Man, that's tough. I would say for sure. My opinion, I think NIL is last.
Okay.
I think it's probably a tie between the accountability and the parents.
Wow.
I think you have to first of all, you have to want it for yourself. You can't want it for your kid. As a parent, you're supposed to just be there to help push them, guide them, but they have to want it. Like I can't go to the gym for my daughter or my kids. Like if they say, hey, let's go to the gym, oh, I'm there, let's go.
Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me you can't, you as coaches, you can't coach drive and effort?
You can it's hard to, your job is to help push them. Your job is to help teach them and guide them, but they have to want it from within. And if they don't want it from within, it's hard to try to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do, because eventually you're going to sound annoying to them, and then they're going to burn out. And then once they burn out, then that's where the parents are, you a quitter. And no, it's not about their quitting. It's just like, dude, they don't love it like you want them to love it. And that's okay, And even with my daughter, I I know people thought I was a weirdo when it came to basketball because there would be Friday nights when I first went to Miami. All my buddies and teammates, they out partying, and I'm at the gym and working on my game. And that's where I think my college coach at the time, rest in peace, Charlie Coles, he kind of saw. I didn't know at the times that because our arena is dark at the top, but you can get the lights would be on the court, and I would be in there sometimes with one of my teammates, and sometimes be by myself. But I guess he was always there every Friday, and he would be walking around at the top, and I didn't know this until one day we were in the locker room, and this was probably towards the end of the year. I think we might have lost in the conference tournament, and he just made a comment like, the only one in this locker room that separates himself from everybody is Kenny. He's like, he on a different type of time than y'all. And I didn't know what he was talking about at the time. I'm like, why are you calling me out? Because I didn't like being being in the spotlight. But it was one of those things like after that, we talked in his office and he told me, he's like, I see you working on your game every Friday. You're in here every Friday. He's like, I drive my car past, it's called Brick Street. And so Brick Street is where everybody's like partying, everybody. And I see some of our players up there and enjoy college, have fun. I'm not saying that. He's like, but he said, it's not, you really, you want it. You want to go somewhere with basketball. And I was like, man, it's just my life, man. I love it. And from there, that's when we gained a really, really strong relationship. Because I think he looked at it as if this guy is going to, he wasn't going to get fired because he's a legend. But it was one of those things, he wanted to be successful, and he wanted guys like that. And he knew I was one of those guys that would do whatever I had to do to lead my team and be the best player I wanted to be. And that's where, it was what I did that. Nobody forced me to go to the gym on Friday. I could have went out and party, and I did have fun when I was in college, but I always had to get my work in before I did anything. So I think the problem, back to what we were saying, is like parents don't realize that your kid's going to do what they want to do, and you can try your hardest you're going to be a football player, you're going to be a basketball player, but if they truly don't want to do that, over time you're going to see it, you can feel it, and I think that's one of the biggest issues. And then accountability. It's always blaming somebody. They want to blame the club, or they're not developing him the right way. That is true. You do have clubs, like I said, I've seen stuff where it's like, I don't agree with how they're doing things, but what are you doing as a parent outside of being with the club to help with the development? I would never allow my kid to accept any bribe or clothes or shoes to be on a team. Like, that's like, what are we doing, dude? Like, no, we'll be on the so-called worst club team before I do anything like that, because that's not teaching them anything. You're not holding them accountable. You're kind of creating a problem that's going to hit the fan later in life. And that's how I look at it. Everybody got their own way of doing things, but I just don't, me personally, I don't agree with doing things that way, and kind of like more of an old school type, you got to work for it. You gotta work for it, and it all pay off if you stay locked in, dedicated, tunnel vision.